The cashier is working as usual, warmly greeting every customer, even a homeless man. Suddenly, two criminals walk in. Without hesitation, she ties up her hair, pulls out a gun from under the counter, and fires immediately at the robbers. She then throws a dagger, striking one of them with precise and lethal accuracy. Every move is sharp and calculated, no motion wasted. After taking them down, she casually grabs her bag and walks out. Jimmy is frozen in fear, unable to move. Only after confirming the danger has passed does he slowly stand up. Before leaving, he makes sure to leave the money on the counter, terrified that if he didn't pay, the cashier might shoot him too. Jimmy drives away, but the terrifying scene keeps replaying in his mind. Suddenly, the cashier appears behind his car, making him panic so badly he nearly cries, quickly blurting out, "I already paid." At the same time, a vehicle carrying the thugs is closing in on them from behind. Ask fires and shatters the enemy's windshield. Realizing her .21 caliber isn't effective at long range, she quickly switches to a handgun, chambers a round, and returns fire. Within seconds, she eliminates the attackers. Then, she calmly takes the passenger seat next to Jimmy. Jimmy watches in terror as the enemy's car crashes onto a bridge and explodes. His pants are almost soaked from fear. To his surprise, Ask casually invites him to grab a meal. Afraid of being shot if he refuses, Jimmy agrees, better to eat food than bullets. It turns out Ask used to be a hitwoman for a crime syndicate. Fed up with the endless killing, she left the underworld and opened a small convenience store, but because she knows too many secrets, the boss wants her dead. Jimmy, on the other hand, is just a local lawyer. His daily job is defending clients in court. Not long ago, his older brother died in a drunk driving accident, and Jimmy is still haunted by the grief. Jimmy is on a journey to fulfill his brother's last wish, scattering his ashes at sea, but fate throws Ask into his path. Jimmy wants to call the police, but Ask refuses and gives him two options: either drive her to the coast and quietly walk away, or she'll report him as an accomplice. With no way out, Jimmy reluctantly agrees. Meanwhile, the crime boss sends two assassins to the store to kill Ask. They discover she has escaped with Jimmy and immediately follow their trail. After finishing their meal, Ask and Jimmy continue their journey, but soon, the car breaks down. Jimmy has no idea how to fix it and starts cursing in frustration. Ask steps out, takes one quick look, identifies the issue, and repairs it with ease. Her skills are clearly top tier. Just as they are about to leave, the assassins arrive. Ask appears from behind, kicking both men to the ground and taking on the two hulking attackers alone. Despite their size, her elite assassin training gives her the upper hand. In less than 3 minutes, both assassins are severely beaten. One points a gun at her, but Ask pretends to surrender before striking back with lightning speed. She wrestles the gun away, but it jams. With no time to think, Ask smashes the attacker in the face with the gun body. The other charges at her, but she swiftly takes him down. They regroup and try to ambush her again. One sneaks up from behind, but Ask counters instantly, knocking him to the ground. He staggers back up with a knife, but she kicks it from his hand, flips forward, grabs the blade, and ends him without hesitation. Jimmy watches from the sidelines, eyes wide with awe and disbelief. At that moment, Ellis and the female assassin Natasha appear and quickly draw their guns, aiming directly at Ask, but before they can pull the trigger, Ask attacks first. She hurls a dagger and punctures their tire, forcing them to drive off. They think they've escaped danger, unaware that more pursuers are closing in from behind. Calmly, Ask ties up her hair and instructs Jimmy to drive and distract the enemies. She jumps from the moving car, grabs a prop bow and arrows from a nearby film crew, mounts a horse, and charges forward. The battle erupts instantly. One arrow sends the first assassin straight to hell. Another tries to fire back, but is immediately taken down by her shot. The fight ends swiftly. Jimmy is completely in awe of Ask's skills. By the time Ellis and Natasha return to the scene, only the bodies of their subordinates remain. As night falls, Jimmy brings Ask to his home for the night, planning to resume their journey in the morning. Sharing a room together, the chemistry between them intensifies, and as expected, they spend a passionate night together. The next morning, they realize the car is gone. Since his brother's ashes are inside, Jimmy is determined to get it back. Just then, a plane flies overhead, sparking a bold idea in Jimmy's mind. They boldly steal a helicopter. Filled with adrenaline, they soon locate the gang's compound. They land quietly and infiltrate. Ask strikes first, taking down a guard with ease. She grabs an AK, takes aim, and pulls the trigger, eliminating another guard. They move deeper into the compound, encountering heavily armed men. Without hesitation, Ask opens fire. Every bullet hits its mark. In moments, the surrounding enemies are wiped out. They locate the stolen car, but before they can escape, Ask is ambushed and knocked unconscious. It was a trap. When they wake up, both are tied up. Ellis and Natasha enter. Natasha mocks Ask, calling her unworthy of being an assassin. Ellis orders everyone to drop their weapons, saying he'll handle this himself. He reveals he has feelings for Ask and offers her a chance to return to the syndicate, promising her safety, but Ask firmly refuses. Enraged, Ellis threatens Jimmy's life to force Ask into submission. Cornered, she reluctantly pretends to agree. Natasha, consumed by jealousy, pulls out her gun to kill Ask and secure her own position. Ellis immediately shoots her down and then eliminates the remaining men in the room. Ellis escorts Ask away, leaving Jimmy tied up. Natasha, still alive because the bullet missed a vital spot, begins to stir, knowing she'll kill him if she recovers. Jimmy cleverly persuades her, "The enemy of my enemy is my friend." As she lowers her guard, Jimmy frees himself, grabs a gun, and finishes her off. Jimmy jumps into his car and races after Ellis. Ask, from the passenger seat of Ellis's vehicle, spots Jimmy and smiles victoriously. Ellis, furious, stops the car and points a gun at Ask, forcing Jimmy to choose, save her, or save his brother's ashes. When Jimmy hesitates, Ellis throws the urn into the river. Jimmy trembles with fury but is helpless under the gun. He begs Ellis to spare Ask. At that moment, Ask makes her move. She punches Ellis and sends him tumbling down the slope. Though the ashes weren't scattered directly into the ocean, the river eventually leads to the sea. In the end, Jimmy drives Ask to the ocean, but this time, she no longer wishes to leave. From that moment on, they choose to stay together and live happily ever after. How hard can a 9-year-old's heart be? Her parents are murdered right in front of her. Her eyes well up, but no tears fall. The thugs seize Catalia and demand to know where the chip is. She stays silent and bows her head. Then, in the next instant, a knife lands in the attacker's hand. Catalia whispers, "I will kill you." She then bolts for the bathroom window and jumps out. The gang opens fire, but Catalia ducks under a concrete slab, swallows the chip, and scrambles onto a car roof. She runs with astonishing speed, scaling rooftops and leaping down. One thug chases her. He climbs walls and clings to ledges like it's flat ground. Cornered, Catalia drops into an empty water tank and escapes. Just when she thinks she's safe, the gang attacks by car. Catalia uses her small size to slide into an underground drain. The thugs fire into the pipe, but she manages to slip away. Catalia reaches the U.S. Embassy in Colombia. When an officer asks for ID, she gags and vomits onto the desk, then pulls the chip from the mess and presents it. Her dying father had told her the chip contained her passport and the address of her uncle. With the chip, she obtains a passport and is sent to Miami. Sensing danger, Catalia slips away during a restroom break and travels alone to Chicago to find her uncle. When she finds her uncle, she breaks down. Years of grief pour out. She tells him she wants to be an assassin. Revenge has taken root. Her uncle, aware of the world's cruelty, wants peace for her and enrolls her in school. Catalia complains that school doesn't teach what she needs. Her uncle, furious, fires a shot at an oncoming car, sending it crashing into a hydrant. He tells her you can't be a top assassin without a brain and gives her two choices. Smart and determined, Catalia grabs her backpack and returns to school to study. 15 years pass. Two cops sip coffee in their car when a red vehicle barrels into them, hood flipping open. A glamorous, staggering woman steps out drunk. Catalia, all grown up. At the same time, a dangerous criminal is being brought to the station. Catalia is primed to act. Late at night, she removes her wig, slips out of her dress into black clothes, picks a lock with a hairpin, and initiates a precise sabotage. She rigs a spoon and a cup of water to short the power, then crawls into the vents. Drops of water fall onto the spoon until it tips and shorts the system. Machinery dies and a fan stops. Catalia slips through the fan, blends into the men's bathroom, knocks a guard unconscious, grabs his gun and keys, opens the cell, and kills the dangerous inmate. The shots draw other guards, but they only see a colleague holding the gun. Catalia has already slipped up onto the roof through the vents and vanished. The warden launches a full search. Catalia spins, jumps from the balcony, and grabs onto a suspended pipe on the wall with both hands. Her black outfit keeps her out of the guard's sight. She slips back into the cell before the sweep. She changes clothes and escapes unnoticed. The dangerous inmate is killed inside the jail. An orchid is painted on his body. The killer vanishes from camera coverage flawlessly, leaving no trace. The police send a top detective. The orchid mark grabs his attention. He finds that 22 prior victims bore the same mark, clearly the work of a single killer. Who could kill so invisibly inside a heavily guarded prison? The elite killer turned out to be the woman who staged a drunken crash into the police car. The victims are all linked to the people who murdered her parents 15 years ago. The detective orders the station sealed, but Catalia had already slipped away. She peels off her fake fingerprints, changes clothes, and goes on a date with her boyfriend. The detective searches everywhere but finds no leads. Some investigators suspect Catalia, but colleagues dismiss it. How could a delicate young woman be behind 23 murders? The detective thinks the killer intentionally left clues for enemies to find, so he leaks the information to the media. The report reaches the crime boss who killed Catalia's parents. He orders her and all her associates killed. Catalia meets her uncle in the laundromat. He gives her a new mission, a transnational con man who stole $500 million and ruined countless lives. Her uncle hands her a newspaper and warns her he knows her revenge plan and fears that if she continues others will be harmed, but Catalia's thirst for vengeance overwhelms her. She vows to wipe them out. The con man basks in luxury in his mansion, surrounded by booze and women. A beauty sits above a shark tank teasing that the sharks aren't attracted to her looks. The con man smirks, drip one drop of blood and the sharks will tear her to pieces. The remark mirrors Catalia's own mindset. That night, she sneaks into the mansion via the shark pool. The con man wakes to find his guards dispatched and an orchid placed on the tank's rim. Catalia reveals herself behind him. He fires but the gun is unloaded. Begging, he offers her double the money to spare him. She doesn't care. She shoots him in the knee. Blood drips into the tank, drawing the sharks. She fires 2 more shots into his arms, sending him into the tank where the sharks devour him completely. She returns to the library to face her uncle, who angrily throws the newspaper at her. He tells her that the boss has already killed 8 relatives. If she persists, the family may sever ties to protect themselves. Catalia goes back to her grandmother, leaning on her shoulder. Her uncle is pained but relieved. That night she visits her boyfriend again. Her sudden arrivals and disappearances make him suspicious. He secretly photographs her and asks friends to dig into her past. The photo reaches the police. They link Catalia to the string of killings. The investigation turns to hidden weapons. Where are they safest? The answer, the neighbor's house. Using her phone's GPS, the police locate Catalia's residence. She spots them on camera. Instantly, she grabs a gun from beneath the table, unlocks the neighbor's house, and slams the neighbor's head on the table to knock him out. She heads to the bathroom, lifts the ceiling panel, retrieves a heavy machine gun, and rigs grenades along the walls. When the police detonate her door, she triggers her own explosives simultaneously, masking the blast. Catalia slips into a pre-cut wall cavity and escapes right under their noses. Catalia rushes to her uncle's home only to find her grandmother and uncle murdered by the crime boss. Losing her last remaining family sends her into a blind rage. She storms into the detective's house, aiming a gun at him and forcing him into a chair. She demands that he locate the crime boss's address, threatening to kill his entire family, making him attend a funeral every week. The detective tries to get up, but Catalia informs him the chair is wired with a timed bomb. She sets a microwave timer and says once it ends, the bomb will detonate. She warns him not to move if he values his life. The detective goes to the FBI to obtain the boss's location, but they refuse. He warns the agent that a sniper is aimed at his head. The agent scoffs, boasting of bulletproof glass, when suddenly a bullet pierces the window and shatters a picture frame behind him. Terrified, the agent gives him the address. Catalia acquires the mansion's blueprint, arms herself from a weapons cache, brings along 2 professionally trained attack dogs, and departs. The boss laughs at the idea that a little girl could reach him just as a missile slams into his living room, blowing the house apart. He flees with his guards, but a truck crashes through the escape route. Catalia steps down and unleashes a barrage of bullets, turning the vehicle into Swiss cheese. All bodyguards are killed. The boss retreats into a safe room. Catalia fires upward from beneath the floor. The henchmen throw grenades, blasting a hole and shooting into it, only to realize she's already moved to the 2nd floor, dual-wielding pistols and mowing them down. They retreat into the bathroom. Catalia engages one in hand-to-hand combat. He kicks away her gun, but she grabs a towel and strangles him. He pulls her hair. They wrestle to the ground, both exhausted. The thug reaches for the gun, but Catalia ejects the magazine, presses the gun to his neck, and ends him. The boss crawls out of the safe room and drives off. His phone rings. It's Catalia. He sneers, "You'll never find me. You're my prey." She replies, "I've already found you." Catalia commands her dogs, "Eat." The 2 beasts leap onto the boss and tear him apart. Catalia sits down, overwhelmed. After all these years, her vengeance is complete. She boards a bus to begin a new life.
With just a wink, the woman captivates the man, who orders everyone irrelevant out of the room
just to be safe.
After he finishes his checks, she dances seductively beside him, lowering his guard. Suddenly, she pulls out a weapon, charging at the nearby henchman. She slashes upward with a razor-sharp sword, killing with a single deadly strike. She grabs a gun from a corpse, using the man as a human shield against incoming fire. Then, she takes aim, each shot eliminating an enemy. Who is this woman, and why is she slaughtering these men? Days earlier, police detective Say and his partner Jax are staking out a road. Spotting their suspect, Coco, they spring into action, blocking his path with their car. Coco shoots Jax, wounding him, and speeds off. Say, a sharpshooter with uncanny precision, fires a single shot that sends Coco's car flipping through the air, crashing in a roll. Finding the car empty, Say gives chase. With his skills and instincts, Coco has no chance of escape. Cornered, Coco takes a bystander hostage to threaten Say. But the bystander isn't ordinary. He elbows Coco in the gut, knocking him down. In the struggle, Coco shoots the bystander, then tries to grab a young boy as a new hostage. Say ends it with a shot to Coco's throat, his body tumbling into the city's surrounding river. Meanwhile, Z, our protagonist and a professional assassin, takes a job from her intermediary, Finn, to eliminate an enemy of his boss. She visits a private tailor shop, where she shares a close bond with the owner. Holding his bruised hand, she asks about the thugs who roughed him up and whether they've returned. The old man, curious, asks how Z handled them. She smirks, saying she used her charm and a massage to make them compliant. He hands her a custom outfit. That night, under pouring rain, Z wears it to a bar. A bouncer frisks her at the door, but she steps inside, scanning the room and spotting her target drinking at the center. On stage, a singer named Jen performs. A man approaches Jen, grabbing her hand, saying, "They sent you to handle this, didn't they?" As Z flirts with Serge, her target, he orders everyone else out. Jen texts Coco but gets no reply, later learning he's dead. Serge has no idea Z is his Grim Reaper. She pulls a Japanese sword from her dress strap, slashing him repeatedly. She doesn't spare the henchmen in the room either, throwing darts at armed guards and leaping to kick them down. Serge, still alive, crawls as Z grabs a gun and heads out from behind the bar. A henchman grabs the barrel and chokes her, but Z strikes his throat, disarms him, and uses his necklace to finish him off. In the chaos, Jen falls, hits her head on a table, and goes blind. Only Z and Jen remain alive in the room. Z points her gun at Jen but can't pull the trigger. Learning Jen is blind, Z spares her, unaware this choice will unleash dire consequences. Z returns to a church, seemingly praying for her sins. Her contract demanded everyone in the room be killed, but Z believes Jen is just an ordinary girl. Finn warns her that anyone left alive in that room is far from ordinary. Z insists on her principle of protecting innocence, but Finn reminds her of her duty and their past promises. When Z asks if Jen deserves to die, Finn sidesteps the question, instead talking about their bond as outsiders, unbound by anything. The rules of insiders don't align with their world, Finn tells Z, urging her to keep working. Meanwhile, Detective Say faces scrutiny from his boss for killing the suspect, Coco. Say argues Coco assaulted a cop and a civilian, even took a kid hostage. Why shouldn't he have taken him out? The police chief disagrees, but after the explanation, Say storms out. Say meets his subordinate, Alves. Sydney, a European officer, joins the investigation. Alves discovers Coco was texting a woman before the chase, who mentioned writing a new song for him. The song in Coco's earbuds, sung by a female artist, isn't online, suggesting it's a demo. The Marseille gang was wiped out the previous day, with Jen, the singer, as the sole survivor. That same song in Coco's earbuds was performed by Jen. Sydney adds that among the victims, one was shot, but 4 others were slashed to death with a Japanese sword. Based on the wounds, Say is skeptical. Could someone really sneak a sword into a bar and use it to take down an armed thug? At the same time, Z prints a fake ID, posing as no one, a U.S. Embassy consul. The next day, disguised, she heads to the hospital. The cops guarding Jen's room check her ID and let her pass. Inside, Z claims to be embassy staff but secretly injects poison into Jen's IV drip. Pretending to care, she asks about Jen's eyes, learning her optic nerve is compressed and swollen, with no certainty if the blindness is temporary or permanent. Z prepares to leave, but Jen asks her to call her mom, worried about causing her distress. Moved, Z shuts off the IV valve. Just then, Say arrives to question Jen. To avoid suspicion, Z stays, posing as embassy staff. As Say asks Jen about the killer, Z grips her hidden gun, ready to act. Jen claims someone spiked her drink, so she remembers nothing from that night. A nurse enters, checks on Jen, and unknowingly reopens the IV valve, spiking Z's nerves. When Say asks about Coco, Jen says she doesn't know him. Say's certain she's hiding something. They both leave the hospital. After some small talk, as Z slips away, Say gets a call from the U.S. Embassy. No employee named No One exists. Smirking, Say pulls out his notebook, crossing out the fake name with a grin. Elsewhere, Gobert meets Finn, lamenting a €75 million loss. He was working with Prince Majeb, who's been cut off by his father. Gobert spent his own money on a shipment of contraband worth €75 million, which could have fetched $300 million on the black market, now stolen. To return home, Majeb must face French police, specifically Say, an upright, brilliant detective who's a thorn in Gobert's side. Say visits the hotel where Prince Majeb of Saudi Arabia is staying. Majeb brags about his wealth, having bought the entire hotel for comfort. He's eager to return home to work with his father, but his plane is held by French police. Say demands answers to release it. Days earlier, Majeb's plane landed at Le Bourget at 4:30 p.m., set to fly to Beirut when criminals posing as French customs officers hijacked it, stealing the cargo. Among them was Serge, now dead. Say asks if Majeb knew the robbers. He denies it. When asked about the cargo, Majeb lies, claiming it was nothing, though it was actually a heroin shipment. Say shows photos of Serge's crew, but Majeb insists he doesn't know them. When Majeb keeps playing dumb, Say pulls out a photo of Gobert, a shady Parisian pastor infamous for his crimes. Majeb defends Gobert, saying everyone's just trying to make a living. As Majeb hurries off, Say presses him again. What did the robbers take? Prince Majeb dodges the question, using his royal status to pressure French police into releasing his plane. Meanwhile, Z meets Finn and notices a new Asian woman, Kai Mai, introduced as Rudy's replacement. Kai Mai admires Z, but Finn demands to know why Jen, the woman from the bar, is still alive. Z explains the police showed up, stopping her. She defends Jen, saying she knows nothing and can't identify the killer. Finn snaps, "She's lying, and you're slipping. The problem is she's not talking." Seeing Z's hesitation, Finn recalls giving her a gun years ago to kill a pimp. Spotting her raw potential, he molded her into a perfect killing machine, but now that machine seems to have a heart. As two assassins head out to kill Jen, Z steals a motorcycle and chases them. After a thrilling pursuit, she rams their car into a roadside building, forcing it to stop. The assassins try to flee, but Z races to the hospital. There, Say visits his partner Jax, sneaking in 2 beers. Their conversation reveals they're still tracking the heroin from the prince's plane. Posing as a nurse, Z brings food to Jen's room and warns her that someone wants her dead over the bar incident. To survive, Jen must trust her. Jen nods. Z knocks out the guard outside and wheels Jen out. Just then, the 2 assassins arrive, firing wildly in the hospital. Hearing gunfire, Say rushes over. Z tells Jen to stay quiet, attaches a silencer to her gun, and shoots from the floor to trigger the alarm, then retreats with Jen. Say faces one assassin, evacuates a nurse, and drops him with a few shots, but the assassin's wearing a bulletproof vest. Z shoots a fire extinguisher, creating chaos. Say tackles the assassin, and after locking eyes with Z, she escapes with Jen. Say disarms the assassin with a few moves, throwing him into a room. Z leads Jen to a lab, sensing someone behind her. It's Say. They aim guns at each other while Jen, clueless, sits in the middle. Say realizes Z is protecting Jen. When the assassins reappear, Z and Say each take one down in sync, then turn their guns on each other again. Say's out of ammo, but Z always keeps one bullet. She knocks him down, sees him faking unconsciousness, and points her gun at his head. Say opens his eyes, only to take another hit and pass out for real. Z flees with Jen to her safe house. The next day, Prince Majeb learns from Gobert that Say brought Gobert's photo to the hotel, infuriating him. Majeb can flee to his father, but Gobert, having lost €75 million, has few options. He wants to make an example to deter enemies. When Majeb wavers, Gobert, enraged, chokes him. A guard intervenes, but Gobert stabs him repeatedly with a fork until Finn stops him. Gobert orders Finn to have Z kill Majeb. Meanwhile, Z talks with Jen, who realizes Z was the assassin from that night. Z admits it. Jen reveals the bar group stole heroin from a private jet, including her boyfriend, Coco. He hid her in a car to watch them handle the haul, but she doesn't know where it's stashed, only that it's in a cheap Paris rental complex. Coco opened a warehouse door from the inside, stole the entire load, and called someone to say he had the goods, following instructions to deliver it to a Paris prison. Knowing Jen isn't innocent, Z takes her to a church, pulls a gun, and orders her to sing, yet Z, torn inside, can't pull the trigger. When Finn arrives, Z lies, saying she killed Jen and burned the body. Finn hesitates, withholding the order to kill Majeb. In truth, Z hides Jen in a confessional, unable to kill her because she resembles Z's late sister. Elsewhere, Say is chewed out by his boss for the hospital shooting. He insists the prince is suspicious, and sniffer dogs detected something on the plane. Say reveals the 100 kilograms of heroin on board is worth €350 million, and they've been tracking Majeb for months. The chief counters that the US recently bought €1 billion in Saudi oil, and the Saudis purchased equivalent military weapons. If the prince's case ruins this deal, the losses would be massive. Furious, Say storms out but keeps digging. He finds camera footage of Z posing as an embassy worker and appearing near the bar that night. They learn she frequents a fast food joint. That day, Z visits the fast food place. As she steps out, Say's waiting. He grabs her newspaper, spotting an English crossword puzzle. At the station, with food in tow, they chat. Say helps Z finish the crossword, then shares that 4 years ago, he was shot during a drug bust. His team took time to reach him, so he asks Z how she'd handle it. She says she'd ask distracting questions, and they say in unison, "What size shoes do you wear?" It dawns on them, Z saved Say back then. Say asks where she lives. Z offers a deal, return her crossword, and she'll take him to Jen. She escapes by sliding down an advertising tarp, but Say, unsurprised, just smiles. Meanwhile, Gobert hosts a party. Finn arrives, and Gobert demands why Z hasn't acted. Finn, distracted, stares at a glass of wine until it reaches Gobert. As Gobert grabs the wine glass, a waiter shoots him dead. It's Kai Mai, clearly orchestrated by Finn. Turns out, Finn masterminded the heist, not the prince. Meanwhile, Z returns home to find Jen gone, the fish tank shattered, and fish on the floor. She scrambles to save them, putting them back in water. Checking the cameras, she sees Jen kidnapped by 2 burly men. Finn texts her to meet. On Say's end, his team hands him photos exposing dirty cops in the precinct. He rushes to the office, catching them brazenly sorting heroin right there. Realizing something's off, Say bolts. The corrupt cops chase him, mimicking Z. He grabs an advertising tarp to slide down but loses his grip, crashing to the ground. He scrambles up and escapes. Z drops the fish off with the tailor, who warns her dirty cops were looking for her and left a phone number. Soon, she meets Finn, who admits to kidnapping Jen. Z confronts him, saying he has the heroin. Finn praises her smarts, claiming they'd make a great team. But Z drops a bombshell. She wants out. Furious, Finn says she's gone too far for Jen. Z demands to know what it'll take to free her. Finn orders her to kill Say, who'll be at stall 43 in a farmer's market. Z sets up her sniper rifle, spotting Say with his best friend, Jax. But Kai Mai's ready too, poised to kill Z if she fires. Z calls the number from the dirty cops. Jax answers. She exposes his betrayal, demanding he hand the phone to Say or die. As Say takes the call, Z shoots Jax. Kai Mai fires but hits a decoy. Moments later, Kai Mai's shot dead. Say, reeling from Jax's betrayal, forces him to reveal the heroine's location. Z and Say team up. Jax, in the back seat, refuses to talk until Say slams the brakes repeatedly, breaking him. Jax spills the location, and they dump him at a hospital. Z ruthlessly takes out criminals, leaving Say reprimanded for firing his gun. Stunned, they enter a warehouse, driving off with the drug-laden truck. Z calls Finn, exposing his plot to kill her. Finn feels no remorse, saying her betrayal sealed her fate, and he's got a new killing machine. Z threatens to parade the heroin around town if Finn doesn't release Jen. Finn panics. Z enters a church, lighting a candle to confess her sins. Finn arrives with a posse of assassins. She puts a gun to his head. He shows Jen on his phone, under threat. Say, eavesdropping, rigs a bomb in the truck. Z kicks Finn down, shoots at tombstones, kicking up dust into a female assassin's eyes. The assassin fires wildly, accidentally hitting Jen. Z takes out a biker assassin and rushes to Jen, but more killers close in. Say crashes in with the truck, mowing down assassins with gunfire. Finn shoots out a tire. Say joins Z, and as enemies approach, he detonates the bomb, destroying the heroine. Z and Say retreat into the church, seamlessly taking out dirty cops. Pigeons fly past Say's face, distracting him just enough to dodge a fatal shot. Out of ammo, Say uses his gun as a club, smacking Finn and slamming him into a pillar. They brawl. Say chokes Finn, who gouges his eyes. Say lifts Finn, slamming him to the ground. Z's gun is kicked away by a female assassin. Z dodges bullets, grabs a dead man's gun, but the assassin wrestles it from her. In the struggle, Z leaps onto her, using her weight to pin her, kicking the gun away. the assassin overpowers Z, but when she swings a knife, Z blocks it, knocking her back. Another armed enemy enters the church. Sei tries to grab the gun but takes a bullet to the gut. Jen, hearing Sei's scream, miraculously regains her sight. The fight rages on. Sei takes down two enemies but is ambushed by Finn. Z, locked in combat with the female assassin, can't help. Finn stabs Sei's stomach. Z sees it, vaults over pews, grabs a gun, steps on Sei's back to leap, and chokes Finn, shooting him. The female assassin interrupts, stopping a second shot. Sei crawls to his bag. Z tackles the assassin, flipping her, yanking her braid to snap her neck. Suddenly, Z's hit. Finn's still alive. With a bitter smile, she asks, "What size shoes do you wear?" Sei gets it, tossing her his gun as Finn's distracted. Z catches it, shooting Finn between the eyes, killing him. His body falls like the god he worshipped. Z blows out the candle. The tailor stitches Z's wounds, offering to teach her his trade. Days later, through a telescope, Z watches Jen reunite with her mother, holding only the scope, not a gun. Meanwhile, Sei, recovering, is pressured by his boss to transfer departments. Sei threatens to expose Prince Majeb's drug trafficking unless he's reinstated. As his boss leaves, a phone hidden in a food tray rings. Z says she's starting a new job and will send photos once settled. Sei pulls out the crossword, revealing the final word, rebirth. Z smiles, tosses her scarf, and walks into a new life.
These are the best films about female assassins. Which one impressed you the most? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.
Second letter E, fifth letter R.